But wow, these storms are lasting longer and longer.
How you doing?
We got about the 30-second warning.
They brought in a middle school concept, and that was when nobody wanted, everybody's supposed to be
Russell.
happy and looking good and not learning.
Definitely correct me if I'm wrong.
You know, my question's pretty far.
All right. Good morning, Glenn.
Yeah, I can't believe it's almost over. Oh my God, Ronnie Pines.
Easy, buddy, easy.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Traveler. How you doing?
You remember
You've been everywhere.
Tommy was an assistant
All I knew was this was way earlier than I wanted to get. Mark, hold on.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the August 21st, 2024 regular Water and Sewage Facilities Authority meeting. And do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Motion? Wanda, second. All in favor? Yeah, everybody's in favor of working today. Item 2, invocation is going to be delivered by Jim Skinner and followed by Cal Oxford leading us in the pledge of the flag.
Morning, let's pray. Most heavenly and gracious Father, Lord, we give you thanks for this day. Thank you for allowing us to come together and bless each member. We're thankful for them and their efforts. Lord, help us to make the right decisions for our county and our ratepayers, and help us to be good stewards of what we have. Through your Son's most holy and blessed name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Y'all bear with me just a second. I can't see. Better. Next item, citizen comments. We have none. I'm gonna skip the whole spiel. Minutes, consider approval of the June 20th, 2024 regular scheduled meeting and executive session meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, unless someone has additions or corrections, I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor? Unanimous. Next item, consider acceptance of the June 18th, 2024 joint committee meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the acceptance of said minutes.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor? Unanimous. Item 3, consider acceptance of the following August 7th, 2024 Planning Committee meeting minutes and August 14th Finance Committee meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, same motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous. Moving on to General Manager's Report. Consider acceptance of the General Manager's Report as presented by the General Manager Johnson.
First, I'd like to take this time to formally introduce you to Chris Reagan, our GIS manager. He started on June 24th of this year. Since we didn't have a meeting in August, I figure this was the time to do it. So Chris holds a master's degree in geospatial information science from North Carolina State University and has spearheaded innovative projects in remote sensing, GIS, and land surveying. He has a proven track record of enhancing processes and analyzing geospatial data. In addition, he holds multiple industry credentials, including a licensed professional land surveyor, geospatial information science professional, and a certified photogrammetrist. Is that it? There you go. Okay. I had to
All
look
right, I
that
always
up
wanted
today.
one. I don't know what it is, but I wanted one.
He can do a lot of stuff with a lot of time. So I just wanted to officially introduce him to you. Since coming on since June, it's been pretty awesome to see what we've been able to accomplish.
Glad to have you with us, Chris.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot.
So looking at the water sales report, you're gonna see July was a pretty strong month. Just in comparison, July of 2024 versus July of 2023, that's a increase of 16, almost 17%. So, looking at the same period last month. So all in all, our fiscal year 25 is off to a strong start. Looking at the non-revenue, our customer summary report. The customers, the active customers are 15,537. Our year-over-year change is hovering around 2%, so everything is trending just like we expected it to be. Which one's next, Charlie? Is it the meter
I
sales?
think we're out of order already.
Yeah.
I think we do the non-revenue with this one.
Okay. The non-revenue report, nothing out of the norm to mention on that. Obviously, you see the total non-revenue water that we're putting on the ground is significantly decreased because we're not doing any fire hydrant flushing right now because we touched all our hydrants. Moving next. The meter sales report. So July was kind of strange. We didn't have as strong as a meter sales as we thought. We're roughly 19 meters down since fiscal year to date, so we're going to keep an eye on that. But it appears that August is pretty strong so far. So we're watching that to see if we're going to have any trends that kind of show different trajectories. And then the fire hydrant maintenance, you see that we met our goal in June. So any fire hydrants that we go on from now until the end of the year are going to be where we come across issues that need to be addressed. We're not actively maintaining anything at this point. Our guys are focused on exercising valves. Moving on to the projects. Some good updates. Our website, we're going to have a draft review by the end of this month from Hammond Marketing. Hammond and Parker have been working closely together on getting this website up and running. We'll have you something to look at soon. The asset management solution deployment, Chris and Parker have been actively working with Confirm and Public Works. That we should be in a testing environment come 1st of October, so that's good news. The sewer feasibility study, the sewer utility continuation, that is the project that Rebecca is doing where we're doing the cost of serve study, the capacity allocation where we understand the fees that are associated with this project in the event the board decides to go through with phase 1 of the progressive design build project. Everything is progressing on schedule. The PDB sewer implementation project, the one that R2T and Lakeshore are working on, the DDR and the anti-DEG report was submitted to the state on 8/12, so we met our deadline, and we are anticipated to have a MPDS discharge permit for our facility 1st of September.
Good.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I was taken back yesterday when I left. We had a long meeting we had workshop number 5 yesterday that it was slated for 2 hours. It ended up taking almost 5. And that is the trend of every meeting that we have. It's just, we cover a lot of ground. We hired the right team. So we're meeting all our schedules. Update on the CDBG grant. All the surveys have been completed and turned over to Alan Smith, and they are actively going through, and I'm awaiting their report, and we will present the findings to both the planning and finance committees and let y'all choose which one is the best area to proceed with doing the application with.
May I ask a question?
Yep.
Since we've done all these questionnaires and reports, if we pick one and there's another number 2, how long does all that work hold for? Do we have to redo it again?
2 years.
2 years?
2 years, yep. So we did them this year. If we apply in 25 and don't get something, we can apply in '26. The only caveat to that is the RFP that we generated was done in '24. That's only good for 2 years, so we would have to reissue another RFP to get a consultant for both the PER and the grant application. The water hydraulic model and the water rate study, we talked about that. If y'all approve those projects today, we've already gotten the first data request from both Garver and Raftellus. We are going to be off to the races on those two projects as well. So a lot of things are happening right now with the Water Authority.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the general manager's report.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Don't raise anybody left. We're good, Charlie. Next item, special committee report. I'm gonna turn it first over to Vice Chairman Dick Morrow and then to Cal for the Finance Committee, because Clay is playing hooky today.
Okay, well, I'm going to take items 4, 5, and 6. Approval of the Henry County Water Authority and Spalding County Water Emergency Water Purchase Agreement as recommended by our committee. That was a surprise to me. I think none of us ever thought about needing that, but we are close enough to Henry County to have a hookup in the case of an emergency with the city of Griffin. So we think it's a good idea to have a backup plan where we can get water from another county if, like I say, in an emergency. So we recommend approval. The water model proposal has been something we talked about now. It was in last year's budget, moved to this year's. And it's one of those things that we need to manage our facility, our infrastructure. So we certainly recommended that. And the water rate analysis, the same thing. We approved that last year. It was moved to this year's budget. And now we have a good proposal. Both 5 and 6 came in on budget or under budget. And so we'd like to move ahead with the water rate proposal too. We recommend approval of all 3. I'll turn it over to Cal for 1, 2, and 3.
We discussed, at the Finance Committee, we discussed the GFRA award, $400,000, of which our general manager, Joseph, would like to use part of it for notification of noncompliance of lead or unknown lead content. If that's not allowed, then he would like to use $25,000 of our funds to make those notifications, which have to be done by
November 16th.
November. So it's not something we can drag our heels on. The Finance Committee is recommending that if he cannot use part of the $400,000 in GFA fund for notification, then we spend $25,000 of our money. We're making recommendations that happens. We also recommended that we have an overabundance of money in our operating account. At the meeting, we had about $3.5 million, of which we only need slightly less than $3.5 million, and we only need slightly less than $2 million for a 90-day operating. And we're accumulating cash at a faster rate than we have in the past. So we recommended that the Water Authority open a money market fund at Truist Bank, which is holding our operating funds, in the amount of $1 million right away. And that money market fund's currently earning about a little less than 5%, almost 5%. So it's an easy get for us. We don't need the money right away, and we're leaving Joseph with a cushion of about a little over $500,000, probably close to $600,000. And the money can be moved backwards and forwards, in and out, with no penalties and with no problem. So we're recommending that that happen. We discussed maturity strategy, which is basically we voted to recommend that Madison Morris, who is with United Bank and manages our CDs and money market funds over there, that we follow her recommendations and allow her to invest the funds as she has been doing in the past, which is basically a ladder scale as they mature, re-up them at basically the same rate. We discussed the water model and rate analysis, of which we also agree, we had a discussion about it, but we agree that we should proceed on that as well. That's it.
All right.
I have, Mr. Chairman, I have a few questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I was at the, not at the finance meeting, so my questions are related to that. So we applied, number 3. Well, I'm looking at new business outside the reports. What is the GFA award, and what was the purpose that we applied for that for?
So, last year, Parker and I, we filled out the application, and we're wanting to get state money to help reimburse us for the 120 water fee or funds that, or fees that we spent over the last 3 years doing the lead service line inventory. The state received a roughly 200-something billion dollars from the federal government. So they petitioned municipalities and water authorities across the state saying, hey, there's these funds that you have access to. Let us know if you have a project you want to propose. We filled out the application wanting a $96,000 grant. They gave us a $400,000 grant. So this award is a loan with 100% principal forgiveness. So we applied for 96 because we just wanted to get reimbursed for the 120 water contract that we've been spending about $26,000 a year that we did not renew going forward. So that's what that is about.
So what is the game plan for those funds now that they're up, 300,000 plus more than what you actually needed for reimbursement?
So here's the kicker. The state did not give us a official contract for Stephanie to review until June. They put us on a really tight leash that the funds have to be expensed by February 1st of 2025. We know that we were going to spend a big chunk of the money getting Garver to go and help us understand and reduce the total number of unknowns in our system, because roughly right now we're about 8,000. So we have 15,500 connections, and about 8,000 of those service lines, either on our side or the customer side, are in unknown status.
That's where we gotta dig the potholes and check the line and see what it's made out of and all
So,
that.
so is that what the plan is for these funds?
We are going to try to spend as much as we possibly can of the $400,000 before February of next year. I can't guarantee you that we're going to be able to do that, because the communication plan that we're going to have to generate, we have to notify all our customers by November 16th that have unknown status. Well, once that goes out, then we can really hone in on trying to figure out how are we going to make them from unknown to known. And if we go pothole, we're going to have to generate an RFP in order to follow the state procurement policy in order to use GFA funds. So it's GFA really understands that they've kind of put municipalities at a disadvantage, because they've opened up these funds, but they've put us on a short window of spending them. But once we get the contract inked, the first thing we're doing is asking for reimbursement for 120 water.
Okay.
So that should be $96,000 that we get.
Okay, and so, and there's really no real game plan for how to spend the rest yet?
So we had a proposal from Garver that basically itemized a strategy going forward. We're having to kind of adapt on the fly because of the communication point. It was at the GAWP conference where the state told all the utility owners that, hey, you don't have a year. I was under the impression we had a year to notify the customers. They said you have 30 days after the inventory is submitted on October 16th to notify the customers, or you're in violation of the new law. So we had to, knowing that information, we have to adapt. So we figured, you know what, let's get a communication strategy going forward. Then we will regroup and figure out how we can address these unknowns over the next 3 years. Because everything's got to be, by 2027, either they have to be taken off an unknown status, or you have to show the state a plan of updating your service lines, which is going to be very costly if we have to go start replacing lines.
But we don't even know that yet.
Correct. I think
We
we
got
can.
a plan, but we just,
We do have a plan. Let me also clarify that the rules that we are operating under are still in draft form. The state has not officially adopted this rule, but yet we have an inventory that's due on October 16th. So everything is completely up in flux. We're trying to stay up to date. We're working actively with the city of Griffin because the communication strategy we have is a communication strategy we need to be in sync with, where when our customers call, are they gonna call us? Or are they gonna call the city? Well, we need to make sure we're saying the same thing. So we're trying to do the best we can with a rule that's not even official yet. Because the state even said, hey, we're giving you this information. We hope it doesn't change, but we can't guarantee it's not gonna change between now and October 16th.
So it's not that we should have a game plan for this money, or is it that the money has to be actually spent, not allocated or spent?
So it's gotta be spent by February 1st.
Unless they extend that time.
Correct.
Is
What'd
that a
you say?
possibility?
Unless they extend that.
unless they extend it.
They understand, after talking to Ms. Goffin with GFA, she understands that the leash that they gave the utilities are pretty short. She said she recognizes that. She just can't guarantee you that GFA is gonna extend that time period, but they are aware.
Especially with the procurement requirements, it's gonna be tough to meet that.
So theoretically, though, if we did a contract to do all this, we've spent the money, even though all the holes maybe have not been dug. That's what you're
If we
saying?
pay up front
Pay up front.
for
Correct.
work that hasn't been done yet.
Right.
But here's the thing, so they haven't even determined if, before it was, you have to locate the line in 2 spots. Well, is 2 spots, can we open the water meter box and see 1 and 2 on our side and the customer side? Or is it on the customer side in the meter box and then the customer side as it goes into the house? The state has not given us guidance on what they will accept. So if we can pop a meter lid, we can work with the city of Griffin as they go out, change meters, as we go out and drive down the road and doing fire hydrant inspections, we can pop meter lids, take pictures, and start taking these customers from known or unknown to known. And I mean, if that's the way we could proceed and the state will allow us to do that, man, we can knock this out really quick.
So what would be the opportunities for us to, okay, that's not a good question, because I just remember, I was gonna say to contract it out, but we have to go through the federal procurement process because it's chief of funds, right? So that means we have to put the bid out, which takes time, which we don't really have time.
That's right.
At this point, we're not even sure what kind of bid we need to put out,
Correct.
because they haven't bothered to tell us.
And
Okay.
if it's a manpower thing, we could, I've talked with Brandon, we have staff, they have staff. If we know going forward, hey, this is what the information we need to get, we can tag team this effort and start getting a lot of information really quick.
Okay. All right, I almost hate I asked that question.
I'm really sorry that it looks like we're kind of not prepared, but how do you prepare for something that truly isn't set in stone yet, that seems to be changing every day?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, I mean, and I really appreciate the, I don't wanna say amount of stress, but the expedience with which you guys have managed so far. We're getting a lot of unknowns that have a lot of drop dead dates that we have no control over, so, yeah, I get it. All right, so I understand that, and then my other question is, about the $1 million in operating account, from the operating account into money market. Did we at some point change how many days of operating fee that we want? Because I thought at one point, I know we were like at 6 months and, maybe we were at 4 months, so I'm thinking, I thought we said we were gonna
I
do
sure
that.
am glad you asked that question. So part of the water rate analysis, that is going to be a topic of discussion because depending on the amount of reserves that the board approves and wants to go forward with is going to dictate our water rates over the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So that is going to be a topic of discussion that is truly vetted out in our water rate analysis, because we're going to have roughly a minimum of 2 workshops with Raftellus where they're going to need to understand the wishes of the board, because that's going to be in our financial policy going forward. So the 1.25 multiplier that GFA and pretty much every bond issuer is going to want you to have, debt service ratio, that's going to be memorialized in a financial policy that's adopted by the board. So that's part of the water rate study. Right now, we have 240 days.
Yeah, the $1 million is still there, it's liquid. We're
Yeah,
just
I mean,
gonna earn interest
I'm not
on it.
saying don't get the interest, I'm just trying to understand, are we deviating from where, because I don't know what that number is now. Are we? at,
No,
you
so
know-
remember what you're referring to was the dollar value that was associated with that roughly $11.5 million that we transferred last year to United Bank. So that is still in complete reserves.
Right, but what I'm talking about is if we have 2.2 or whatever million is showing on our finance as our operating expense, and Cal says it's actually 3-something.
3.5.
3.5. My question is simply, did we change? I mean, I know at some point we said this is gonna be how much we wanna keep in operation.
I think we said 6 months, didn't we?
270 days.
270 days?
Yes,
We
200.
haven't changed. We're just trying to earn some interest on the money that's sitting there.
So we haven't changed, but remember, the reason why we have so much in reserves is because we've been funding depreciation to the tune of $194,000 a year since roughly 1995. So we have about $5.3 million sitting in cash that is to go to repair, upgrade our water system.
Okay.
So when we really start digging into the water rate analysis, this is going to be a topic that, depending on if you want 270 days of reserve or you want 180 days of reserve, is going to dictate what RAF tell us how they build the model. Because they're going to build a model and a rate that is going to sustain our objectives while we're adding money for capital improvements. So we're not doing any capital improvements right now.
Right. So I'm just trying to understand what the number is for whatever we said, 270 days or 6 months or whatever, because I get it, we don't really have any way of knowing what we really need to have.
Mhm.
And I get it that if we don't really know and it's not requiring us to do more, it makes sense to invest those extra funds. I'm just trying to make sure, I thought there was a number that we had selected, but
The
clearly
board
we
had
just
asked,
selected a number.
yeah, the board had asked me to investigate. I started reaching out to various contacts that I had, and it seems that if bonds are gonna be issued, they'd like to see a 270 number, but there's nothing set in stone saying, hey, we require you to have 90 days, 180 days, 270 days. So this is, Raftellus will be able to give us guidance on what they recommend based on the other utilities that they help manage their water rates, where y'all would have the information you need to make an informed decision.
So what I'm hearing is that even though the 100 million, or their million is over in the money market, it still fulfills the 270
Yeah,
day
it can still be
thing.
moved
Doesn't
back.
change the
It's still
thing. just-
accessible.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so we haven't changed that, we're
No.
just doing something in the interim while we're waiting to
Cor-
get to whatever that.
Just to get
Number.
more interest.
Okay, so I think that was all the questions that I had. Now, the number 2 that's on the new business about the United Bank, that is, I know that we mentioned either, Ms. Morris's name. Is that our person?
Yes.
Or do we have we
That is
just have United Bank?
that's the person that is actively managing our accounts.
Okay, so, but we don't have a contract with that person, we have a contract with United Bank.
We don't have a contract with United
So
Bank.
we're just doing.
We're just using them, yes,
Okay,
to manage, to be our fiduciary.
that's, I'm good.
All right, moving on to new business. Item 1, consider approval to move $1 million from the operating account into a money market account with Truist as recommended by the Finance Committee.
So moved.
I got a
Second.
Motion, second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Unanimous. Item 2, consider accepting the recommendation of our United Bank advisors each time a CD matures as recommended by the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Unanimous. Item 3, consider approval of the GFA award agreement in the amount of $400,000 as recommended by the Finance Committee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Item 4, consider approval of the Henry County Water Authority, Spalding County Water Authority Emergency Water Purchase Agreement as recommended by the Planning Committee.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Unanimous. Item 5, consider approval of the water model proposal in the amount of $75,000 as recommended by the Planning and Finance Committees.
So moved.
Motion? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Unanimous. Item 6, consider approval of the water rate analysis proposal in the amount of $57,170 as recommended by the Planning and Finance Committees.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Oh, that was correct. Moving on to Secretary Treasurer comments.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
may
sir.
I add to the new business that part of the Finance Committee recommendation was, should GFA funds not be able to be used for notification, that we allow the general manager to spend $25,000 of Water Authority funds for those notifications, lead line compliance.
We've got to have a motion to amend the agenda, would we not?
Mm-hmm.
You make a motion to amend the agenda, is that what you're?
I would be glad to make a motion to amend the agenda to include the ability to use $25,000 of Water Authority funds, should not that money be able to be used from the $400,000 GFA grant.
Got a motion to amend the agenda?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of amending the agenda? Unanimous? All right, we'll make your motion now.
Now,
I second that motion.
Let's repeat it, make Stephanie happy.
I would like to move that we allow the general manager to use $25,000 of Water Authority funds, should not GFA funds be available for use in lead line notification.
And I do second.
You happy with that? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Absolutely.
Okay.
First of all, I hate anybody doing anything with money that doesn't show up on the agenda first, just saying. Secondly, in our, I don't know, in our bylaws, but in our whatever, doesn't Joseph have the ability to purchase things up to a certain amount, which would include $25,000?
I believe we had granted that. It was 25 or 50?
He's 50.
$50,000.
So yeah, I mean, I hear the motion, but it really doesn't need to be that because we're in his range of decision-making for making decisions on our funds. So, do we need to do this because we already have something in place? I'm kind of looking at you.
It is something that he has, he would have the authority to spend that money.
Regardless, because of what we've done.
It may make him feel more comfortable about it, though.
Will
Before we
it? Does
did
it
it.
matter to you?
Well, I can tell you this, if based on my understanding of the procurement policy with professional services not being required to follow a RFP, if we apply and GFA denies it, if it comes back, we probably won't get that denial quickly because GFA hasn't done anything quick. This could affect, say, we're in FY '26 and we get a bill saying, hold on a second, this money was never going to be used, so we would have to pay for it. So
You feel
It
more
is.
comfortable if we approve it, is that what you're saying?
That would be good. I will tell you, we did put in our budget this year for 60 grand for lead and copper compliance, because remember, we talked about this was gonna be an order of magnitude anywhere between a $400,000 to $600,000 effort, so we were gonna take it in little bits and pieces. The GFA grant award kinda expedited that, where if we could use free money, we're gonna use free money.
So my concern is only that, you already have that authority. So I think we're taking an extra step. I don't have a problem with us acknowledging that, but it's just adding something extra that you already have the authority to do.
Good
In
point.
case that it doesn't work out like that, so,
Okay, so we've done no harm.
no.
All right.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
I'm just scratching my head.
Good point, though. I think that's, bring up.
Moving on, Secretary Treasurer comments.
None.
He skipped out on us. Moving on, General Manager comments.
I think we've said everything we needed to.
All right. We have an executive session today?
We do.
Okay. Authority member comments. Whoever Chairman Cannon is, remind the board of the next regular scheduled meeting on September 18th, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. I'm gonna go around the room. Miss Fanny,
Nothing, thank you.
Cal,
Good.
Miss Wanda,
No, thank you.
Jeff, Miss Williams.
I did have something I wanted to say. I want to know more about, or are we gonna do more, or is there something that we're gonna do? Because I was surprised to know that there is a water system or sewer system that is in East Griffin that was associated with something else. I think you alluded to it when we talked about it in the planning committee, but where does that leave us in the area of East Griffin that has already had, I don't know if it were sewer lines or if it were water lines that we were talking about in certain
Part of
areas?
East Griffin has sewer from the city of Griffin.
Yeah, part of East Griffin is inside the city of Griffin service area for sewer. Part of East Griffin is in our sewer service area, but is in city of Griffin's water service area. So back in '95, there was some customer swapping that took place that was identified in that contract, and then was also identified in the 2020 agreement that we signed, where we basically said, hey, we'll take these customers that are in your area, and we'll give you the customers that are in your area as kind of like a customer swap that was done back long ago. So part of, when we did our surveys for East Griffin, we asked both water and sewer related questions, because we saw that this may be an opportunity to team up with the city of Griffin if there was a water issue in that area, since they're water lines, we could address it. But is that what you're referring to?
I guess, because it kind of made me feel like that's an area that we really don't know what that relationship can be like. And, in terms of those customers or those citizens for future redevelopment. So I'm just wondering, I got that information, it's stuck in my head, but my question is there a move forward to address that particular area? Because I know the other areas we've surveyed already.
So East Griffin's gonna be very similar to Dundee. When we went in, we added sewer infrastructure, but we didn't touch water. The reason why we didn't touch water is because that is in the city of Griffin water service area. So it would be another project where, depending on the need of the area, would ultimately dictate what project we put forth, where if there is a water need, we would need the city of Griffin support, and maybe do a joint project with them.
Okay.
Or we just go and we say, you know what, if there's a sewer need, we're gonna meet the sewer need, and then we would have to have some type of agreement. Are we gonna keep the service area and the customers, send it to the city of Griffin for treatment, where they charge us a wholesale rate? Are we going to, there's gonna be a lot of discussion that has to take place between now and the time of the
whenever
application.
that could happen.
Correct.
So, yeah, the only thing, I guess, so then my bottom line on this is that It is something that we can't just attack by ourselves. We have to talk with the city of Griffin to
Correct.
have a game plan. for
Because if
that.
there is a sewer need, we don't have sewer service. If we do end up producing a plant on the east part of the county, it's gonna be nowhere near
Near-
East Griffin. So
Right.
it is gonna take a partnership, yes. And we won't truly understand what that partnership looks like until Alan Smith says, hey, this is the need and this is the project we recommend. We recommend you go after both the water and sewer to be competitive.
Okay. That's all I have.
I don't have anything.
No?
No.
I don't have anything. Moving into executive
Mr.
session.
Chairman, I move we move into executive session for the stated purposes.
Motion,
Second.
second,
Second.
2 seconds, all in favor? Executive session, what are we doing this at?
We can do it online.
Okay, our conference room.
But that purpose, that motion, this is what Madison, something with intention, send that. Send that test.
But, you know, it's a moot point anyway.
But I was just, you know,
No, I agree, I totally agree.
Also,
If you don't follow.
absolutely. Thank you.
Proper rules of order, you can cause some issues that shouldn't be.
Oh, I don't know.
continue, but we're good now, so.
It was a horrible
But
mess.
that's, you're right, that's when it should.
I got through one
Adopt
law
it.
enforcement thing and they
We may have to redo that.
I'm going to redo that. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move we exit closed session and re-enter open session.
Motion,
Second.
motion and a second, all in favor? Probably should have a name.
Boy, you were ready. Okay, back in open session. Mr. Chairman, I move we approve allowing Joseph Johnson to sign contracts on Spalding County property at Spalding County tax map numbers 260-01001 and 260-01004 in amount of $400,000. Said funds to be used from, taken from our ARPA funds.
There's another piece of property.
We need
Well, that's-
We gotta do
two
Tyler.
separate ones.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? All-
Okay, Mr. Chairman. Sorry.
Go ahead.
All right, I'm
It
moving.
passed
My
unanimous.
ADD's kicking in, I'm moving. Mr. Chairman, I move we approve allowing Joseph Johnson to sign contracts on Spalding County tax map properties, parcels number 217-01002A in amount of $284,900, also to be purchased with our ARPA funds.
You got a motion, you got a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
A motion to adjourn, second?
Second.
Got a second, all in favor? Meeting adjourned. Look, I'm not gonna stay.
Oh, wait a minute, almost an hour, yeah.
That's the way the meeting got to go.
That's what I'm talking about.
ACCG.
Get in here, do it, and get on out.
He had something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give her that.
I hate those things like in an evening meeting.
Sure.